Hello everyone, happy Monday, and welcome back to All Good Things. And on today's episode, we are going back to school. Alright, now hold on. Learning is fun, alright? But even if you don't think so, well, learning can make you lots of money, alright? So on today's episode, we're going to go over my 3 biggest financial influencers, more information about them, alright? And by the end of this video, you'll learn at least 3 different paths to financial independence. My 3 main financial influencers. First up, Dave Ramsey and Chris Hogan. Alright, so I came across them last summer, their YouTube channel, and I know they're no longer working together, but I met them together and I wanted to tribute them as well, both of them. Alright, so Dave and Chris, they're really about just living below your means, alright? They really focus on long-term wealth building. They have a 7-step, simple kind of plan to follow to get out of debt and to build wealth. And they usually believe that your home is one of your biggest investments and that your income is your largest wealth building tool. Alright, so like Dave and Chris, they really break it down, okay? And now with these books that I've read as well, so if you don't believe that you're capable of building wealth, of becoming a millionaire, of getting out of debt, then Dave and Chris, they're great starter points, okay? So after reading their books, I was like 100% convinced. I'm like, oh, I'm going to become a millionaire. I'm going to become wealthy. I'm going to become rich. You know, it really helps you believe in yourself because they really break it down in simple, easy to understand ways and methods, all right? But their main takeaways, all right, we can all become everyday millionaires in a few decades, by building wealth, like through investing 15% and saving money. All right, both of them are big fans. They're really fond of your 401k and your Roth IRAs. Both of them really embrace that debt-free lifestyle, all right? Dave Ramsey, he's a cut up your credit cards, don't even spend on them, all right? Focus on cash only. And that makes sense, okay? Because, I mean, we can all admit, the average consumer, and we've all been the average consumer sometimes, all right? We overspend. And especially if you're not seeing cash value, it's kind of easy to just put it on the card. Or when things happen, it's easy just to use your credit cards for rent or for emergencies or for car payments, like anything that just, use it for that. And it's easy to overspend and to not be mindful of your spending if you're not using cash. So that's kind of like their whole thing where it's like it's easier to be mindful and conscious of what you're actually spending once you're actually using a cash system. Because once your $50 are up, like they're up. There's no putting it on the card, like that's all you got. So it really does kind of help you like stay focused. And I have done this before and it does work, okay? All right, but anyways, they're also really into just simple investing. So it's like keep it simple, all right? Index funds, mutual funds, keep it simple. 401ks are your friend. And they're all about being consistent. Now, their whole goal, we're not chasing money to chase money, okay? The point of building wealth is to then live like you want to, obviously, but also to give generously, all right? So this is where leaving money behind comes in. If you want to give to charities or start a foundation, leave a trust, whatever, but the whole point of getting wealthy is to live how you want to live, but also to give how you want to live. Like, and they also kind of inspired me. Like, I always loved people who were generous with their money and started foundations and organizations. And it kind of like inspires you to do the same. It's like, all right, like the point of this wealth building is to give back. And I love that they mentioned that as well. I always loved people who were generous with their money and started foundations and organizations. And it kind of like inspires you to do the same. They believe in educating yourself, but also getting a financial team leaning on experts and just finding a team of teachers who really will explain things to you and help guide you through everything, okay? Through investing and through saving, just really having your support system there. So that's kind of their main things here. They're really about cash only, living debt free, and building wealth consistently over time by following steps, you know. And on this slide, I wanted to put some more information for you. So these are the 4 books that I've read by them. The top row is going to be Dave Ramsey, Total Money Makeover, and Complete Guide to Money. All right, so these books really help you. Well, all 4 books, I'm sorry. So Chris Hogan, he also has Retire, Inspired, and Everyday Millionaires. All right, so all of these 4 books, like if you didn't think that you could become wealthy or become a millionaire or retire well, you know, retire early, if you didn't believe that you could do all these things, these books are great because they really break it down in simple, easy to follow ways, which is helpful for me because when I met them, I was at a time where I was just like $45,000 in debt still. I know I wanted to become wealthy. I know I wanted to give back and live my life and travel and just not be like confined to just not having enough money to do what I want to do. But I just didn't know where to start, you know, like finance and money, and it's a huge field, and I didn't know. I have Dave Ramsey 7 baby steps. So the first step is to save your pre-emergency fund, $500 to $1,000. All right, just to get you started in case you have any step backs. Then step 2, pay off all of your debt. Now this is all your student loans, all your credit card debt, any non-mortgage debt you have, you paid off in this step. That's when you would have your full emergency fund. So your 3 to 6 month full emergency fund in case anything goes wrong, you know, save 10 grand, you're good to go. All right. And then after you have all of that covered, you're investing. So all of the money that you used to spend paying off debt or saving for your emergency fund, you can now maximize your paycheck to invest it. You know, so at least 15%, as much as you can, but start at 15%. And then these next steps, you can do them all together. So saving for your kids to go to college, finishing off your mortgage and paying that down. And then once you're completely debt free and you have no bills that are needed, you know, to be paid, that's when you can really focus on giving. Really big on giving, and I love that. Like, I love that he actually added that in his wealth building formula. But alrighty. Now, so the FIRE movement, financial independence, retire early. So they're like Dave Ramsey, but way more extreme. All right. So you have the potential to reach financial independence in about 10 years through consistent and disciplined savings and investing choices. Not to mention living simply and frugally, you know, as best as you can. All right. So their main thing is to save and invest 70% of your income. All right. So the goal is to live frugally and way, way, way below your means, with the intention of the less you spend, the more money you have to invest and save then. All right. They're about delaying your gratification and making sacrifices in order to be free from the need of work. All right. So you can still choose to work after 10 years, but from then it's going to be your choice to live your life exactly how you want to live it. You know, so instead of the idea of having to work 50 years until you can retire, it's like, okay, well, you can do it in 10 to 15, you know, depending on how much you spend and how much you are able to save. So with this content, I came across them on YouTube. So I have watched a lot of actual YouTube videos. However, not too many FIRE books. There's one, Playing with FIRE, Financial Independence, Retire Early. And he actually has a documentary out. And this book follows his journey through how he personally came across FIRE and how him and his family have been going about it. All right. So Meet the Frugalwoods by Elizabeth. She basically does FIRE, but she doesn't really mention it, you know. So So her thing was her and her husband saved up to like 60-70% of their income, for like 10 years. And then they were able to retire, and they moved to the woods and are currently still there, living their lifestyle. So she didn't actually mention the word FIRE, because her book was kind of more about the power of frugality and really saving and investing, but still same community and same kind of mindset. Now, these are the two books that I read. I wanted to include that, Meet the Frugals, Achieving Financial Independence Through Simple Living, and then the second book, Playing with Fire, How Far Would You Go for Your Financial Freedom? All right, so newbies to the FIRE community, these two charts may help you a lot just to kind of grasp what exactly is being said and what you need to do. So at first I was like, okay, so you just save money, like what is that? But kind of like there's a method to the madness, or there's a method to the intensity and extreme, so we're gonna take a look at the bottom chart first, the purple one, calculating your FIRE number. All right, so let's use me for an example. All right, single lady, I make $40,000 a year. All right, so my personal FIRE number would be $1 million, and that means once I have $1 million invested and saved up, then I can safely retire at that time. So the FIRE community kind of agrees with Dave Ramsey and Chris Hogan when they say that retirement is not an age, okay? It's a number. So whenever you reach your FIRE number, your financial independence number, you can safely retire, all right? So you guys can look at the chart. So depending on what your desired income is or what your current income is, you can kind of see what that actual number is that you need. So it gives you a very, very clear, direct goal. Like if you make $60K a year, then you need 1.5 million, all right? And the chart above does the same thing. If that helps you as well, we can take a look at the bottom, all right? The furthest one to the right. So if you want to make $50,000 per year, then you would have to have this number totally invested, $1,250,000. So it just breaks it down for you, so at least you know where to start, okay? So if you don't know how much money you actually need to retire, well, according to this math and chart, now you do. So now it's just about actually getting there and working towards that, but at least you have your number. So I found these charts and these books kind of very helpful and very insightful, to kind of what this community does and how intense. And I don't even want to say extreme, because honestly, working until you're 60 is extreme for me. But it's just how focused and dedicated they are. All right, and then now Robert Kiyosaki is completely different from the other two groups on the list. All right, there were a lot of similarities between Dave and the FIRE community. It's just that the FIRE community just it's like times 10, so it's gazelle intensity times 10. So instead of saving and investing 15%, you're saving and investing 70-80%. All right, so there are similarities between them. So Robert, he's kind of like the oddball on this. All right, so Robert, he's all about living big, thinking big. All right, so his main purpose, guys, he really wants to leave the rat race. So his whole thing is, who are you making rich? All right, are you making the government rich, your employers, your bosses? Who are you making rich? And obviously the goal is to make yourself rich. All right, and he's also big on learning. So he says he had a few failed businesses and he kept going. All right, you quit when you win, not when you lose. All right, so he's all about keeping it going. And one thing that really kind of stands out to me too, he says, your dollar is your employee, okay? You tell it what to do, make it work for you, and use it to increase your cash flow. So he's about starting where you are as well. So he's really about using your income, maximize every dollar in order to leave the rat race forever. So the end goal with him in the FIRE community is the same. So Robert, he was tired of his 9-to-5, and so was the FIRE community. So it's kind of like, so that's one similarity. But the books that I've read with Robert, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, That's a huge one. That's his most popular book. I read that one. And Increasing Your Financial IQ, I read that one as well. And also, I first came across him through YouTube. Well, actually, no, I did not. My sister told me about him, and then I came across him through YouTube. So I wanted to add that as well. So big takeaways with Robert. It's all about, he rejects this idea that we have to live below our means. All right. He's all about, no, you expand your means. Like, you create a surplus. You always create cash flow. You always find a creative solution to your problems. Instead of just spending less, find ways to make more, find ways to increase your income. So that's his huge thing. He's all about using real estate, as well. He loves rental properties. He says he has several, $1 million worth of rental properties and real estate and all of that, throughout the US here. And two big things that I learned from his first book: pay yourself first. Pay yourself first, okay? No matter how much money you are in debt, no matter what your priorities are, what you're doing in life, you need to value and respect yourself enough to pay yourself first. So you choose whether that's 5%, 10%, 20%, it doesn't matter, but you need to make it consistent, okay? So no matter what bills you have to pay or whatever, you need to save. And on the flip side of that coin, I love that he does this too. He says always give. So you're always saving and you're always giving too. So he always says give 10% always, okay? God does not need to receive, but humans need to give. So I love that he mentions this as well. And Dave is huge on this. And, so is Robert as well. He's always like, give 10% of what you make, okay? God works hard for you, and that's all he asks in return, then do it. And now he's also big on leveraging other people's money. So that means taking out loans, okay? Taking out mortgage loans or whatever, which is one of the big differences between him and Dave. Dave is really like debt-free, cash only, but Robert, he loves leveraging other people's money. He believes in good debt and bad debt. He loves to avoid taxes, which I understand, same, all right? He wants to avoid taxes legally, but like the plague. And his whole thing is build, invest, buy assets. He wants you to be rich so you can do whatever the F you want. He says, be rich just to be rich to live. Like, obviously have your purpose, have your goal, but be rich so that you can leave the rat race or do whatever else you choose to do. And now for financial advisors too, now Dave Ramsey, he's all about investing with a team, all right? He's like, pick people who love to teach, who love to help you, and go from there. Now the FIRE community, they're more DIYs, all right? So they're more kind of about like invest in low index funds, really like educate yourself and do it yourself type mentality. Robert, he's kind of a mix. I think personally, he says start with yourself, obviously build your own financial IQ, learn, start playing around with money, have some fun with, with your investments, but also build a team. So his big thing is he has a team of intelligent people and they make choices together, so it's like once you have a team of people who know what they're doing, they can help you make better financial choices too. And one thing which I thought was interesting, he mentioned this in his second book, says, understand the world of sales, accounting, investing, markets, and law. Every multimillionaire, every billionaire has an understanding of these 5 things here: sales, accounting, investing, markets, and law. One of the ways to make a lot of money, to manage, protect your money, and etc. I just wanted to put that there to dwell on it because it's interesting to me, and I was like, I never really heard anyone say that, so that was cool. But on these sides, these are the books that I've read from him: Rich Dad Poor Dad and Invest Your Financial IQ. Like I was saying before, I did buy his Gain Cash Flow, and I put that on occasion. And now this, I wanted to just leave this right here because this is just one of the most powerful graphs that I've seen, and it just like if you're really confused about what Robert stands for or how to build wealth or just anything, he tries to simplify as much as possible. All right, so he's big on cash flow. And what does that mean? All right, he says, if you want to be rich, simply spend your life buying assets instead of liabilities. Okay, and an asset is something that puts money into your pocket. So we're talking rental properties. That's a strong example of an asset. All right, now a liability is something that takes money from your pocket. So anything that is not making you actual money, like maybe your car, maybe your residential home, anything that is not making you money is a liability. So just think about that and just dwell on it. But that's kind of Robert's mentality and mindset, and they're different. Okay, the first two were kind of more conservative, kind of more live below your means, save and invest, be good. And Robert's like, nah, he just rejects that. He's like, think big, live big, dream big. And I love that. Okay, I'm attracted to all three different lifestyles and all three different financial plans for different reasons. All right, so I'm one to pick and choose. I like to customize. So I'm not 100% for any of these groups, but I respect them all, and I love the different paths to financial independence they lay out. And I do intend and have been, using bits and pieces from all three different paths and lifestyles. I know, that was a lot of information, all right? Thanks for sticking around. In the comments below, I would love to hear about which financial guru do you think best fits your lifestyle, and which advice do you think is most practical to you? Or maybe you don't want to be practical. Maybe you want to live big, dream big. Then let me know how immediately and how soon you can implement these type of lifestyles and which books you want to read as well. I would love to hear your feedback, so don't forget to like and comment, and don't forget to subscribe as well. And we'll be back on Wednesday.